Hello everyone, today is Baldur's Gate 3's second anniversary, and I wanted to do a bit of a retrospect here as I've played this game since its launch and every single day since then. So we've been through 8 different patches, 33 hotfixes, and seen many different changes to the game. Like, did you know previously Otto's irresistible dance used to actually be irresistible? You could cast that on Raphael and have him stunned for 10 whole turns, making the fight very easy. It didn't have the wisdom save. And you used to be able to twin chain lightning, which is obviously extremely overpowered. So we've seen a lot of changes to the game, and I wanted to break down all of that in this video. Now, Baldur's Gate 3 is my favorite game of all time. I have over 2,000 hours played of this game, and it took the crown from Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, which is my old favorite game, but this is a game we will not see anything of this quality, I don't think, until maybe Larian releases their next game, but I honestly can say it right now, in 2025, this is the game of the decade. I don't think that we'll see anything that can come close to what this game has accomplished, and honestly, the only claims that I can think of in the last 10, 20 years are things like Cyberpunk, Witcher 3, Skyrim, but even those games aren't anywhere as good as Baldur's Gate 3. Now, some of the biggest changes that were added in patches were things like the magic mirror, which is something I use pretty much every day when I create a new character for videos. We also got the epilogue, which added over 3,500 new lines of dialogue to the game, and this is something that wasn't available at launch, so it was really fun for me to go back to my very first playthrough, which I already completed, and got to see the epilogue camp and all the things that I've accomplished in there. We've also had a patch that added in honor mode to the game, which I can't imagine playing the game without it at this point. It's just so much fun with all the changes that it brings. We also got in patch 7 mods, and on top of that, console mods, which is obviously something I make a lot of my videos on. Now, Baldur's Gate 3 and Larian went above and beyond with this because previously, PlayStation 5, I've played Skyrim, I've played Fallout, they don't have mods on console, but Larian goes through and tests and approves all their mods for console, which is incredible if they do something like that. And patch 8 did what no other company I think could ever have possibly done by adding 12 new subclasses to the game, which is just mind-blowing, bringing the total up to 58 subclasses. It also added in crossplay to the game, so if you have friends that are on PlayStation, you play on PC, you could now join in a game with them and also play with mods. It's just incredible what they've accomplished. What I think is incredible is how quickly patch 3 came that introduced the magic mirror, as well as the ability to play on Mac. Now, my Mac is 1 GB short of playing this game, but hey, there's a lot of people out there that do play on Mac, and I think that's cool, because not a lot of games are able to be played on Mac. And I guess a little bit of a side note, if you love Baldur's Gate 3 and you're looking for something more, you should try out Larian's other game, Divinity Original Sin 2. That is my introduction to Larian, and I absolutely love that game. It's very similar in certain aspects of Baldur's Gate 3, but also different enough to feel like it's a completely new experience. But if you like this game, definitely recommend that. Now, I think that patch 3 was one of their biggest patches, the one that added in the magic mirror. The first 2 were mostly about performance, and speaking of performance, the hotfix 33, which came out a few days ago, actually improved my performance on PC, which is kind of crazy to say, and I've had other people say in the comments that their performance has increased as well. But prior to patch 3, there was actually a lot of issues that happened with the game. So things that had ground-based surfaces, so like grease, anything with black and average black tentacles, previously wouldn't calculate properly, and you had a very hard time hitting those spells. So they actually increased in their overall effectiveness as the game went on, which is really nice. On top of that, lightning charges used to work a lot differently in Baldur's Gate 3, and they used to apply damage riders. So lightning charges used to be extremely overpowered because you could add a ton of extra damage onto your attacks. Damage riders also work a little bit differently when you're playing on honor mode, but even in the base game, lightning charges were extremely overpowered. Divine Smites also used to be able to apply twice whenever you were attacking a target, so you could actually do Divine Smite and have the reaction apply as well, which obviously having 2 Divine Smites at once is pretty crazy damage. And it also got capped on patch 3 to a 5d8 at a level 4 spell slot. Now, another thing that was kind of funny, and I actually still get comments regarding this, is previously your wild shape charges, or if you're in wild shape, or if you had certain summons, and even zombies, it would make people run away from them. So it was impossible to go through Baldur's Gate 3 as a druid or anyone with summons because people would just run away from you no matter where you went, and that was obviously really frustrating. Also, Sanctuary used to be an extremely busted spell, so you used to be able to cast Sanctuary on yourself and then cast Chain Lightning and move, or Call Lightning, move it around. You used to be able to cast Average Black Tentacles, Polymorph, Hunger of Hadar, Fear, Ice Storm, Flesh to Stone, Divine Interventions, Hypnotic Pattern, Slow, Stinking Cloud, Banishment, Glyph of Warding. All of those previously you could cast while you're in Sanctuary, which is obviously pretty crazy. Also, they made some changes to certain bosses like Raphael and made them a lot harder in patch 3. Also, if you're in a Lithid, previously things weren't as ugly, but now things are a lot worse. You have the veiny look on your entire body, your teeth fall out, your eyes look weird. Previously, it wasn't that bad, and that was my first experience with it, and it makes it a lot more ugly on your characters. Now, patch 4 actually fixed one of the bugs that plagued my early playthroughs. Previously, if you opened a door and you went to walk inside by clicking, because previously I didn't used to use the WASD movement mod, it wasn't made at the time when I played. Previously, when you open doors, if you went to click inside it, it would shut the doors. You would just go in like that. So it was like literally impossible to get inside of some buildings. You had to like contort your camera weird ways and then click. So that got fixed in patch 4, which was really nice. Also, patch 4 made it so Lae'zel was not dying to bonk your character really early on in the game. And you've probably seen the memes. Even people on my live stream today mentioned it, how Lae'zel used to really love your character really quickly. There was even speedrun attempts on how quickly you could get with Lae'zel, and that was fixed in patch 4. It was actually pretty crazy. I had it happen to my own character too. But I think one of the biggest changes with patch 4 was changing how Otto's irresistible dance works. Now, the spell says irresistible. It's now obviously resistible, but prior to that, you used to be able to cast that on Raphael, and then it was game over for him. The fight was pretty much done. If he didn't succeed on the save, you could just hold him in place for 10 turns, and that's obviously extremely overpowered against a lot of boss fights in this game. It's now a wisdom save every turn that they do, but the big benefit of using it over hold monster is with something like the Otto's irresistible dance, it guarantees at least one turn of them not being able to act, whereas hold person, they can break free of it on their first turn. They also made it so that Minthara was a little bit easier to get as a companion if you're on a good aligned playthrough, which I thought was really nice. Now, we think of patch 7.8 as pretty recent, but patch 5 came out November 30th, just a few months after its release. This was a mind-blowing update for me because, as I mentioned, I beat the game by this point. It added in the epilogue, which was something super special, especially if you made some really good connections throughout the game with the characters. It was just an awesome thing to see added into the game. It also added in the honor mode and the custom honor mode, which was a great addition to the game. Obviously, honor mode being a very fun way, and I honestly can't look back and play any other way at this point. They also have some performance improvements, especially in Act 3, which was much needed. And as I mentioned, it actually got a little bit better even with hotfix 33. So yeah, that's just great. In the early game, whenever this game first released, Act 3 was kind of rough to play around with. It was not the greatest on the GPU and CPU. Patch 5 also added really nice abilities so you could access and manage the inventories of companions who were in your active party, which was a massive change at the time. It was frustrating beforehand, but very nice that they added something like that in. And they also added an Orin's outfit. I know people were freaking out whenever that happened. We gave it a suitably disgusting description and name. Another thing that was added was the ability to get your Tavern Brawler benefits on wild shapes, making the Moon Druid a whole lot better. It's already pretty strong, but it's an underrated class that got even better with patch 5. And yeah, patch 5 is when our Minthara got the ability to get added to the party on good playthrough. And they've made a lot of changes since then and made it a little bit easier to get Minthara on a good aligned playthrough. Now, patch 6 came out in February 16th of 2024, so a little bit later after patch 5. It brought in kisses for Valentine's Day. Watch out for garlic breath. It also added in some new idle animations, which I think are great. Patch 6 also had a pretty cool ability to throw the Hill Giant strength potions and give your team the buff to the overall strength, but it only applies for 10 turns when thrown. But it's pretty cool because then you could get your entire team with a plus 8 to their strength modifier just by throwing a potion. Now, the Lithid ability free cast has had a lot of issues over the patches where you could do a lot of weird tricks. Like previously you used to be able to grab a clothing piece from your character, put it on your bar here, and what you could do is use your free cast your spell, use it up, and then just swap off the underwear on and off, and you get the free cast back. That got updated with this patch. And this is also the patch where they removed the twin casting of Chain Lightning, which you can imagine using Twin Lightning as Twin Chain Lightning is crazy because you could apply it to two people and it would chain through them. It would just rip people apart. It was extremely powerful, and that got fixed with this patch. It also got changed so that you couldn't use it on things like Ice Knife as well, and Witch Bolt too. They also changed Grasping Vine, a druid spell, from an action to a bonus action and gave it difficult terrain whenever you cast it in. Grasping Vine used to be one of the worst spells in the game, and they actually made it become one of the better choices for spells. Now, patch 7 added so much to the game. There was a bunch of new evil endings that were added into the game. On top of all that, there's new legendary actions in honor mode, making the challenging runs even more challenging. And on top of all this, it launched mods onto console or PC and console later on October. This was a huge update. As someone that loves modding in games, having official support for mods was something just I couldn't even have believed possible when I first started playing this game. And now it's one of my favorite aspects of this game. I do best mods of the week every single week, and I'm constantly trying out new mods pretty much every single day. As I mentioned, I play this game every day anyways, and I make videos pretty consistently on this game too, so that was nice to see modding support get added. And patch 8 is one of the biggest patches of all time, in my opinion, adding to a game that already had 46 club subclasses, bringing up to 58 total with the 12 new subclasses, one per class. That blew my mind. I couldn't believe it when I read that. I had goosebumps whenever I seen the post from Larian that they were adding the new subclasses to the game. Also, we got photo mode, which I'm a huge fan of. I use photo mode pretty much every day. You see it in the thumbnails that I'm using. It's a really good photo mode, I'll be honest. I really enjoy it myself. And they also added crossplay, again, so people can play with their friends on different platforms. So there's been a lot of updates to Baldur's Gate 3, and it's quite shocking. This game only came out 2 years ago. I've played it so much now that it's in my DNA. It's an incredible game, and I cannot recommend it enough to anyone that hasn't tried it before. And if you're already playing Baldur's Gate 3, start a new run. You'll enjoy it. This game was really important to me because I was going through some really tough stuff at the time when this game came out, and it was just an escape for me. Much like many others, I know this game is something that helps them take away the stress of real life, and that's exactly what a video game experience like this should be like. So yeah, I just want to make a video on this just to talk about all the great things that have came over the time, and Larian's done an absolutely incredible job of supporting Baldur's Gate 3, and I'm looking forward to their next game here. But I honestly don't see any other games topping Baldur's Gate 3 for the next while. Like, this is going to be the game of the decade. But let me know your thoughts in the comments. What your favorite thing is about Baldur's Gate 3. And yeah, happy second birthday to BG3. Hope you guys have a great day, and we'll catch y'all in the next one.